First, I'm going to reset both the user prompt and GPT response variables to blank when the timeline starts, so that we don't see the old message appear in this box once it fades in for the user. Then, as well as having the same execute JavaScript trigger fire as what we wrote on the show AI layer, we'll also have a trigger to jump to time of 1.25 seconds on the answer layer, which is effectively the moment when all objects on this layer are visible, barring the generating response text. Let's also use a condition here that the text entry box must not be empty before this is allowed to happen. As a matter of fact, let's also set this condition up for the execute JavaScript trigger so that all triggers share the same conditional checks when the button is clicked, including the show AI layer. And then we just want a trigger to resume the timeline on this layer in order to have the fade out take place, and the layer to be hidden once the timeline ends. This means we can also remove the show layer triggers that were copied across, as these layers will already still be visible on the slide. That will then bring the user back to viewing the answer layer, where after a few short seconds they should see the next response be displayed to them. Before we finish up here though, let's make sure we've included a way for the user to ask their follow-up questions by adding a button onto the answer layer, which can display as soon as the GPT response variable has been revealed. The trigger that we want this button click to perform are to set the state of itself to hidden, to hide and show the next question box layer, which will reset the slide to its starting state each time it is reopened, and to show the UI buttons layer as the final step to ensure this always stays on top. So let's now publish the activity once again and load this in the browser, making sure our app is still running in Visual Studio Code in order to handle the fetch requests in our JavaScript code. I'm going to start with a fairly general question: how regularly should a reactor be serviced? It has told us that servicing needs to be done each month alongside daily maintenance, which is correct according to the manual. So let's now ask, what is the first step in the servicing process? So of course, without either the context of the manual or our first question, there should be no way that the GPT-4o AI model would be able to realistically answer that question. So let's see if it tells us that we need to shut down all non-essential systems. And there it is. The correct information is being given to the user from the manual. Let's go ahead and ask for the next step. And there we have it. From this moment, throughout the user's time taking the e-learning activity and visiting any other slide, they can continue the conversation with the AI assistant wherever they left off, which the OpenAI Assistant API threads process makes very easy for us to manage without the need to store all messages and responses ourselves to unique storyline variable values.